Testimony continued today in the most notorious criminal trial in Richland County. Dr. John Boyle is accused of killing his wife Maureen and burying her body.
The 12-year-old son finally took the stand.
Boyd confidently told the jury it was his decision to testify against his father.
I heard a scream. I heard a thud. It was about this loud.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
I decided at an early age that our trauma should not be what defines us. It's what we choose to do with it that does. I'm here to share my unique perspective on true crime, mental health, society, and popular culture, and always with a slight sense of humor. I'm Collier Landry, and welcome to my show. Mover Nation, what's going on? What's going on? Oh, what is going on? It has been it has been an interesting last week. Happy Labor Day, which I thought was Memorial Day. Happy Labor Day, or belated Labor Day, or hope everyone had a great Labor Day weekend is really what I really mean to say. I'm back. I am feeling better. I was under the weather for since last week. So I am feeling about 80% there. But I wanted to see y'all. I wanted to say hello, and I wanted to discuss a couple of things. Thank you so much. Did we turn on subscriber only mode? Because I was trying to figure out how to do that. So maybe we can do that. I do want to start off, and I don't really want to get into this because I know this can be triggering for a lot of people. But today there are 4 confirmed dead, and a suspect is in custody after another school shooting in Georgia. I just wanted to offer up prayers to the families, to the community there in Georgia. This happened in the Atlanta suburb of Winder, Georgia. And so prayers to that community, the community of Atlanta, and all the children and the families. I just want to offer that up. I won't get into this, but I do want to just mention it. I'd be remiss if I didn't, because it is important. In other news, so like I said, there's a few housekeeping things, and I guess I got to pull up our graphics here. So we are going to have this weekend another edition of Collier's AV Club, and if you are a channel member or channel subscriber or Patreon supporter, thank you so much, Cat Loves Catskills. If you are a Patreon supporter or a channel member here, you can join us, and it is this Sunday, and I don't have the graphic loaded here. Of course I don't. It is this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We do it. There'll be a members link in the members section here on YouTube and on the Patreon, where you guys can access, and we get to watch. So we get to watch movies or TV shows or whatever have you. And I'm still deciding on what we're going to watch this weekend. So stay tuned because there's a lot of shows. And of course, while I was sick, I watched a lot of stuff. So I'm like, I can't watch this with anyone. I watched the Lacey Peterson documentary, by the way. If you guys haven't seen that, this is the one on Netflix. It was a 3-parter. It was very eye-opening. There's a lot of talk around Scott Peterson and his whole situation. And it was very eye-opening because it was something that I did not pay attention to when I was here in California at the time. Sorry, the Alexa is going off, and I don't want to talk to her. I want her to just stop talking to me. There we go. Thank you so much for the super sticker or super chat, Tina Luffman. I appreciate it. And Cat Loves Catskills, member for 17 months. Thank you for your support. We have also some other new members as well. I was pulling this up earlier. I want to give some shout outs to, and but again, that's really tragic to hear that it was a 14-year-old as well, because that's just not cool. Sharita Hall rejoined. Karen Fan, thank you for rejoining. Kaylin joined last week. Parastuin joined. Amika Cream had rejoined as a member as well. And Amethyst Moon, aka, this doesn't tell me the whole name, of course not. Tinker Tots. Matilda, Michelle O'Hare, Jen, Diana Burnett, Professor or Prof Phil Bell, No, Yes, Well, Maybe, Carol Sue Scott, There's also some people that rejoined recently. So I want to say thank you so much for your support. So anyways, we have our as I said, members only AV club. And I'm still a little coming out of my fog, so I realize I'm darting around. But we are an AV club again, where we watch documentaries or a docuseries or whatever. I'm going to figure it out at the last minute what we're going to watch, but it'll be cool. I promise. We'll give some analysis. Last month, we watched The Social Dilemma, which is all about social media. And it was done in 2020 during the pandemic, but it still applies now. It's scary how much further it's developed. So that was why we've watched My Worst Roommate before, or Worst Roommate Ever, which is a docuseries on Netflix. We watched The Tinder Swindler. We watched My Film, A Murder in Mansfield. So it's always a good time. We all get to interact in the chat. It's really cool. On a Sunday afternoon, if you got nothing to do, or a Sunday evening, if you're on Eastern time. But back to what I was saying. So I had watched the 3-part series on the Scott Peterson case, or the Lacey Peterson case. And at the time, that happened in 2002, I believe. So I was fairly new to California, 2003, 2004, when he went to trial, the whole thing. But she was missing in, I believe, 2002. It was, I was aware of it in the media. I wasn't really paying attention. I just remember seeing him on television and finally talking to the media, because he was very prevaricative for a while, for like the first month or two. And you would think, if your wife went missing with your, 8.5-month pregnant wife, and I talked a little bit about it, and I do have to apologize. I had referred to Amber Fry as a mistress because I thought she had known about Lacey, but that was the most eye-opening thing that I want to talk about, is the role that Amber Fry played in this trial and in having Scott Peterson be held accountable. It was absolutely staggering. She's a freaking hero, and was put in a really bad situation, worked with police to tape him and give those files, which unfortunately they played in court. She didn't want played in court, but they played them in court to incriminate him because he said all kinds of wild shit. And it was a really eye-opening situation. So she's a total hero, and did right by Lacey for sure. It will be interesting because his case is taken on by the Los Angeles Innocence Project. There's a lot of people that like to ring the bell out there, claim the one-armed man did it, et cetera, et cetera. I watched him. Anytime someone reminds me of my father, I just, that's where I check out. I go, yeah, you remind me of my father. You're a psychopath. I think you've got the answers for everything. You've got this, your behavior is prevaricative. You dye your hair. Nothing made sense, but a lot of his family still back him, and his sister became a lawyer to defend him, I believe. It's, while some of the stuff makes sense, some of it does not. And the fact that he said his wife had passed away to Amber Fry and he wanted to start a life with her, and all this information that she divulged to police, it was really wild to see it unfold. And it's done by Sky Borgman, who also did the documentary, Sins of Our Mother, about Lori Vallow Daybell and that unfortunate thing with Colby Ryan and obviously Tylee Ryan and JJ, just horrific, sad, Chad Daybell, the whole thing. But that was also a very eye-opening series. She does an amazing job with her documentary. So shout out to Sky Borgman for making a great film. It really was cool. And eye-opening. So we get to watch things like that. Yeah, so I've been, we're doing a little bit. We changed the channel header, and we're changing some of the graphics. Me and my team, we're doing some more social media stuff, kind of trying to dial everything in here, heading into the fall and winter. Making some major changes over here. So you're going to see a lot of things roll out on the channel in the next probably week or so. Because I got sick, I'm like a week behind. It feels like I'm always behind, but there's a lot of things that will be rolling out. So it's really exciting. We have started a Facebook group, by the way, and I forgot to put the link because I'm locked out. And Sherry Falls, one of our super members and super team members, is helping run that. So thank you so much, Sherry. She worked with me yesterday because if you don't know this, I am not active on Facebook, and it's not because I'm not active on Facebook. It's because I can never log into Facebook. Every time I go to the app, then it makes me go to another thing, and then that code doesn't work, and this and that, and it's too much. But yesterday, because I have cannot go out of my house. I had to sit here and we focused in, we locked in, we started a Facebook group. We have a fan page for the show now, a fan group. So you will be invited to that. If you want to sign up, I can put the link, or maybe somebody can, in the chat to this. Sherry is amazing. Karen is amazing. We got On the Outskirts on the team doing social media stuff. She's amazing. And everyone else is amazing. Your second grandson was born at 1 a.m. Tuesday morning. Sarah Holman, you do not look like you're a grandmother, but okay. That's wild. Congratulations. Facebook is not for everyone. Yeah, it just wouldn't allow me to log in, and I do have access to the thing. I have to use a different browser to access it, but we have a Facebook group. It is for the show fans. We've got to put it here on the YouTube channel as well. I'm a little behind here. I'm going to add it to the chat right now because I couldn't even figure out how to get on the groups. It's all just so silly to me. But this is how ineffective of a social media or a Facebook person I am. Okay, so this I believe is the appropriate link. So I'm going to put right here. Y'all tell me if that works. Of course it's not working. Why would it work? Why would it work? Guys, why would it work? There we are. Let's see if that link works for y'all. You can join the Facebook group. Yes, please join. We have been inviting people, and it has been great. And like some people are commenting even. This is great. So big shout out to Sherry Falls, who's had a lot of success with Facebook groups. Let's hope she has a good success with mine as well. And I'm excited for you guys all to be. I realize I'm a little dark too. It is going to be, supposedly it's like 90 degrees here. So I closed my balcony because it looks a little dark. I closed my balcony because it's been the air conditioners are running and all this stuff. It's a lot of noise. Anyways, okay. Scattered all over the place today, but joined. Thank you so much, Casey Lee. So that worked. So the Facebook group link worked. Fabuloso. So good to know. All right. So for those of you who do not know, so this is what I want to talk about today. This has been something. So I'm involved in. I was supposed to be at a YouTube conference right now in Dallas, but I obviously couldn't make it. But there's been a lot of there's been a lot of kerfuffle lately on YouTube about this one creator who's the largest creator on YouTube, and that is MrBeast. And I've known about this dude for a long time. I watch his stuff. It's funny. It's always really. I don't know how he keeps making content because it just keeps one-upping, and he's so successful on YouTube. Like, I mean, he makes like $100 million a year on YouTube, which is probably, that's just what we know about. He's very successful, very hard, 26 years old, but wanted to be a YouTuber since age, 10 or 12. And, when he was a little kid doing, what is the blocks, the Minecraft videos and things like that, then did these little tricks and fun stuff counting to 100,000 and stuff like that, made him very popular. And look, as any megastar celebrity goes, there's always so many haters. There's always so many haters. There's adoring fans, and then there's haters, right? And so I've been watching this back and forth, and I've heard people, because I still work in Hollywood. I keep one foot in the door. I have a lot of friends who work for creators, and I know people who went to work for him a couple of years ago, and they were, as editors, and they were supposed to stay in a house, and then they were supposed to have their own house, but then other people joined the house, and they were disgruntled about that, and they were like, well, I was supposed to have my own place, and they were disgruntled about some work stuff, but whatever. Nothing is perfect, and MrBeast has consistently leveled up his productions to spending millions of dollars per video that he does for a 10-12 minute video that might go on YouTube. I mean, he just keeps upping the ante and does wild stuff like being buried alive for 7 days and being stuck in a soundless room for 48 hours and things like this that would make you go mental. And but this is all, and there was a bunch of stuff that circulated because he had a person that had worked for him. They were transgender, and they had some inappropriate things with people that were underage. And so he came under fire for that first. And he had fired the person and, said, look, I want to be part of this, excoriated him, publicly admonished and said, we don't approve of this, blah, blah, blah. Rightfully so. Right. But the guy is just, to me, is like a modern day, a modern day, like Howard Hughes, or you could even say Citizen Kane. Why his name escapes me. I'm a bad filmmaker. I got the brain. I can't remember. He's a crazy creative who's always upping the ante and always pushing himself. And therefore, these types of really enigmatic and sort of these characters that we see really push not only their people, but their own crews and themselves to like the point of exhaustion. And a lot of this is played out on YouTube with other creators going back and forth with him. But today, it all came out in the mainstream media. And I'm going to play this clip. We're going to watch this. This got picked up on NBC News. And I was really shocked that they picked it up and they interviewed another YouTube creator. So basically what they say is YouTube megastar Jimmy Donaldson, also known as MrBeast, is facing criticism over on-set complications during his Amazon competitive series. NBC News' Chloe Mellis spoke with YouTube creator Rosanna Pansino, who shared her experiences from a previous MrBeast show and is trying to expose the alleged chaos behind the scenes of the latest production. So what's interesting, and we're going to play this in a sec. Well, let's play this, and then I'm going to give my thoughts. So I'm going to give a little analysis because I saw the same thing play out years ago at the YouTube space, which used to be right over here in Playa Vista. They took it down during COVID, but it was an amazing place. I'll talk about that in a second. But let's check out this video from NBC News and what they say, because I found it really fascinating that this was all of a sudden yeah, I am deaf. So soundless room would be perfect. Yes, what's up, Gen X to the 7th power? So we're going to play this, and then I'm going to offer my analysis on this, because I did find it very interesting that NBC News picked this up. And shout out to On the Outskirts for calling us to our attention. I hope we can hear this. Oh, no, there's no sound. Of course not. Because, all right, there we go.
We're talking about Jimmy Donaldson, but you probably know him as MrBeast. The guy with 312 million subscribers, super duper popular. He's 26. He's got all these videos. Some of them feature these stunts, these big giveaways, big money, right? 7 figures, millions of dollars. But there's some folks sounding the alarm after what they describe as a chaotic shoot. In a TV and streaming exclusive, our Chloe Mellis speaks with another YouTube star who's looking to expose what's really behind the scenes of MrBeast's empire. So this is your new studio.
Rosanna Pansino, one of YouTube's original and most influential content creators, the host of a popular baking show.
And now we're going to do this to the rest of our donuts.
Is now speaking out against the platform's biggest star.
Jimmy is not the same person that he is on camera as he is off camera.
Pansino met MrBeast, whose real name is Jimmy Donaldson, about 5 years ago.
I have a heart for philanthropy and giving back, and that's how.
All right. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to rewind it a little bit. Okay. Here's my first problem with this. Okay. So, and this is probably the thing, I stayed away from YouTube for a long time, and my God, would I kill to have subscribers like this. I'm working very hard to have subscribers like this. It would be amazing. Maybe not 300 million, but a couple million would be nice. So I appreciate all the hard work that goes into this. But when she says to me, and all respect for Rosanna Pansino speaking out, because she's putting herself in a lot of harm's way, trolls are real and people will come after you. But when she says he's not the same person on camera that he is off camera. Well, welcome to Hollywood. I don't know a single actor that I've ever worked with in my career as a cinematographer or as an actor or as behind the scene, whatever I was doing, that when you put a camera on them, they were the same exact person that walked through the door. Very, very rarely would I ever go, oh, that's the same dude that came on. As soon they turn it on, and then they're like, and they're either really nice or they're not nice. I've worked with some really not nice people, but they are really nice on camera, and but they are, as soon as the camera goes off, they are not a pleasant person to be around. They're yelling at their assistant or whatever. I've also worked with some amazing people that are exactly like this, but it's like, welcome to Hollywood. Like, who is, when you turn the camera on? I mean, I'm usually running at a 10 here on the show, but when you meet me in person, I might be running at like a 9, an 8, maybe. This last week I was running at about a 3, but I mean, to me, it's like, well, yeah, duh. Of course, he's not the same person. Of course, he's not. He's guy's operating at like an 11 all day.
A popular.
And I remember when I first came here, I worked on a film called Raising Helen as an actor. Starred Kate Hudson, John Corbett, Helen Mirren. I got to work with Helen Mirren. Who else was in it? Hayden Panettiere. There was a bunch of people. Joan Cusack was in it. It was a really great film set. But the guy who was our second AD, his name was Dave, and Dave was telling me stories because he had worked on Minority Report previously with Tom Cruise, and he had done a couple of films with Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks. And he was saying, you meet Tom Cruise, and he's like always on. He's always Tom Cruise, whether the camera's on or off. He's like, I don't know how the guy isn't exhausted by the end of the day, because it just feels like he never has a moment where he just goes, okay, I'm just going to chill. He's just always on. He's really nice to everybody, and just just really high energy. And he was telling me that. I remember that was like my first time about hearing like a major celebrity and how they behaved, and how he just thought, because he was the second AD on that shoot and had to interact with him a lot. And he was just like, I don't know how this guy stays on. So again, to criticize someone for not being the personality that they are on their own show, this is a show, right? And his show is all about entertainment and big stunts and big this and big challenges and lots of money and prizes and everything. And it's, it's a little weird to me.
Baking show.
And now we're going to do this to the rest of our donuts.
Is now speaking out against the platform's biggest star.
Jimmy is not the same person that he is on camera as he is off camera.
Pansino met MrBeast, whose real name is Jimmy Donaldson, about 5 years ago.
I have a heart for philanthropy and giving back, and that's how he presented himself, as a good guy who loves to do charity and likes to make big, fun, silly YouTube videos.
And whichever one of these 456 people survives the longest wins $456,000.
Pansino even went into business with Donaldson, though the ventures failed. But she says everything changed after she appeared on MrBeast's 2021 reality competition show, The Creator Games.
Perfect timing.
She was unfairly edited, she says, to make it seem like she performed worse than she had.
Yeah, you can be like cyberbullied if I say anything that's not positive about MrBeast.
And when Pansino made that accusation on the pop culture podcast Just Trish last October, she says the backlash from some of MrBeast's fans was frightening.
I received very serious, scary death threats.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, I've been online for a long time, so a little cyberbullying, the negative comments, I'm used to handling that mentally, but not at this magnitude. I was so scared. I thought I was having a heart attack. The death threats were very specific. They were very targeted.
In spite of that, in July, Pansino went public again, this time on TikTok.
I wanted to keep you guys updated on what I've been hearing about MrBeast's Beast Games.
She says that she's created a safe space for contestants to share their experience on Donaldson's new reality competition series. When Amazon MGM announced that series, the Beast Games was billed as the biggest reality competition series ever. The cash prize, $5 million.
I feel like I've become an advocate. I can't in good conscience do nothing.
How many people have reached out to you so far, roughly?
Right now, it's a little over 200.
Could you tell me about some of the allegations?
They didn't have access to their medication. In a lot of these situations, it was life-saving medication.
William, who asked us to call him only by his first name because he fears online backlash, showed up to what he thought was the Beast Games, but it turned out to be a multi-day casting call for the show in Las Vegas.
One girl in our group, she did need her epilepsy medication and she did not get it. She had a hard time fighting for it.
And that's not all.
We had finally gotten access to food after about 10 hours, and I witnessed a male just collapse right in front of me, and he was convulsing.
NBC News spoke to 5 other former contestants who asked to remain anonymous because they feared retaliation. They said there wasn't enough food and that they witnessed medics responding to a contestant who appeared to pass out. In August, the New York Times reported that more than a dozen unnamed participants told them that they had not received adequate food or medical care, and that some competitors had suffered injuries from the physical challenges, with some even leaving the competition arena on stretchers.
I think that the injuries are just appalling because they're injuries that could easily be avoided.
What types of injuries are you hearing about?
I heard people got trampled.
During that first game, I got trampled. Every line had a group of people at the back that were just getting trampled, and I watched a woman get knocked out cold.
Several contestants were hospitalized during the Beast Games promo shoot, according to NBC's Las Vegas affiliate KSNV, which cited multiple anonymous contestants. For his part, Williams says he would still compete again, and that he also saw Donaldson upset, trying to get contestants food and water.
He did try to do what he can. I do feel people are painting it that he did this like maliciously, but at the end of the day, I feel everybody was just woefully unprepared.
In a statement to NBC News, a spokesperson for MrBeast said that the promo shoot involving over 2,000 participants was, quote, unfortunately complicated by a global technology outage, extreme weather, and other unexpected logistical and communications issues, which we are currently reviewing. The spokesperson added that virtually all of those invited to the filming of the Beast Games in Toronto enthusiastically accepted our invitation, and that they have taken steps to ensure that we learn from this experience. Amazon MGM Studios did not respond to a request for comment.
What would you say to people who might say, well, it sounds like that, business deal fell apart. You're doing this to elevate your own profile.
I understand that perspective. I really do. But I really encourage those people to look at the bigger picture, because what he's doing is not happening in a vacuum. It's happening to a ton of people.
For the people watching who say that those that competed in the Beast Games, they were paid and they signed contracts and they knew that there were risks involved.
On any TV show, especially a competition show, there's always risk that somebody's going to accidentally get hurt. I think that the difference here is an abuse of power. I think it's wrong to dangle this huge prize money, a $5 million carrot, in front of people's faces who really need it and take advantage. I don't think it's okay to actually shoot shows that are like the Hunger Games.
Chloe Malas is joining us now. And Chloe, has MrBeast's team reached out to contestants directly at all? Do we know?
Hey there, Hallie. Well, I spoke to MrBeast's spokesperson who said that they actually have communicated directly with 97% of those 2,000 people who attended that shoot in Las Vegas and that they've asked for feedback. The spokesperson also added that Jimmy Donaldson has been very philanthropic over the course of his career, including giving more than $5 million in supplies to Ukrainian refugees. They also talked about how he powered a rural Zambian village with solar energy. And, he's rebuilt 12 homes in South Africa for over 100 orphan children. So, look, Hallie, I mean, he has made a huge name for himself with these stunts and with these lavish giveaways and with his charitable giving. But these are some very serious allegations that these contestants, they felt comfortable speaking to NBC News, anonymously. They're afraid of public backlash. And obviously, Rosanna Pansino, she's a huge star. And for her to come out and do this exclusive interview with us, it took her a lot of courage as well. But again, MrBeast's team, they are denying these allegations.
The quality of your health.
So there you have it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I've seen your comments. I'm going to stop sharing this thing. A couple of things that I find ironic. So, do you guys remember 2002 when $1 million you go to an island and you have to be the only person that doesn't get kicked off. Oh, and you win a Phoenix Aztec too, I think or a Plymouth Aztec or whatever too. So you win a car and $1 million. You remember this called? Survivor. And they're in season 853 right now. Dangerous. I remember I interviewed for a show called Naked and Afraid. I was going to be the cinematographer on season 3. I believe I worked a Lexus commercial, and I met a producer, and he's like, hey, they're crewing out for season 3 of Naked and Afraid. The producer that I went and met with, who was on the show Naked and Afraid as a producer, got bit by a fer-de-lance, which is a very poisonous snake in the jungles of Costa Rica. I've seen a fer-de-lance. I found one in a shower when I was showering, a baby one. Didn't get bit, thank God, because the babies will kill you. It comes with the territory, and the fact that people are coming out, and people should not get hurt on set, and it sucks. But I've seen some comments of like the crew sleeps in another house. Of course they do. The crew never sleeps in the hotel where all the contestants are staying. They're always in the Motel 6 down there. That's how crew is always treated. Sorry, it's just how it works. You know what I mean? The fact that, from what I thought they said, is that these contestants were paid. If this was a network reality show, they would not be paid. They get an honorarium, and that's it. And the honorarium is probably as much as you would make doing jury duty most of the time. If you want to be on TV, this is what it is. So I understand that people are complaining, and it does suck that people should not be denied medication and things of that nature. But the fact that people are coming out, and then they say, well, I still go on the show. You're competing for $5 million. And yeah, it might be dangerous. Of course it's dangerous. You know that it's dangerous when you're joining. You've watched all his videos. Shows like Naked and Afraid, Survivor, Last Man Standing. I mean, I don't watch a lot of reality, if any, reality TV, but there's always dangers. I had friends that did Below Deck as cameraman. They would sleep in the crew quarters of the ship. They didn't have a cabin. They slept in the crew quarters, which is basically bunk beds, and they're just like this the whole time, getting sick on the shows. This is what happens in TV. And I'm not defending Mr. Beast in a way that I think, I think he's done a lot of great things. He's been tremendously successful, but people shouldn't have to face this type of stuff. But everyone made a choice to participate, including the crew members. So people to turn around and after the fact kvetch about this, to me, is like, okay, you're crying over spilled milk. And yes, this woman putting out her name, she's on YouTube, she's a star, said that, yeah, you're talking about this. You have a large audience. You're going to get a larger audience from being on NBC News. Let's just face it. Everyone has a choice. Nobody put a gun to these people's head. 2,000 contestants. That's a lot of contestants, and 97% of them, if this checks out, would return or had no issues whatsoever. There are always a production of that size with 2,000 people who are all going to be on camera. You think of the crews that have to be in place, the safety teams, the medics. I think about, during the pandemic, about when we would work with crews and we would have, different zones that people could be in and things like that, taking safety precautions, and people still got sick. It's the same thing. People still get injured. I worked on another show called Broken Skull Ranch, and I filled in for some non-union camera ops, and that was filmed up in Santa Clarita, or right outside Santa Clarita, like Castaic, and it was Stone Cold Steve Austin's Broken Skull Ranch, and that was a reality competition. I remember people getting injured on that because they're battling. It's like American Gladiator out in the desert, but I'm sitting up in the crow's nest with this long lens camera, like 70 feet in the air. That stuff's dangerous. You know what I mean? It's this is what it is. You can take the job, you can take the opportunity, or you can't. I see this, and I'm like, to me personally, having worked in entertainment and worked with people who make sacrifices to be on those shows and worked in reality TV, I've been on even on shows where, I'm getting ready to be on a series where I tell my story. It was, and they're like, we're not going to compensate you because you're going to be exposed on this show. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, there needs to be certain things that take place. There are opportunities that people take to gain fame or gain clout or put their name out there or expose what they're doing, or win millions of dollars. I get it. I don't think that becomes Mr. Beast's fault, because this happens on every production. I've heard these stories on every single production, especially reality competition shows I've ever worked on. Even, and people, she talks about, she didn't like how she was edited. Well, you sign a contract and you say, you give them your name and your name, image, and likeness for them to use however they want. And if they, I had a friend who worked on Hell's Kitchen with Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen. And she was, for example, her only job, her husband was a producer, and her only job was to sit and edit out cameramen who were in shots, because there were cameramen in the shots. I had another friend who was an editor who would edit voice dialogue for The Bachelor and The Bachelorette and re-edit to make it seem more dramatic than it really was. Or then they would get pickup shots to bring the talent in. They're always going to edit stuff. They're always going to make it, you hope it looks favorable. You trust that the production you're going to do is going to do a good job, and maybe make sure you look skinny on camera. You don't sound like an idiot. But yeah. And yes, Gen X, the seventh power, you're more than welcome to. I don't want to get into the allegations against minors and all of that stuff with his people, but I'm just saying specifically to this and what's going on. You know what I mean? I think it's worth mentioning that this is something that happens all the time in production, at least in my experience. I've never known a smooth reality competition show. And the fact of dangling a carrot in front of someone and saying you could win this, as the guy who got trampled said, I'd go back and do it again. It's like, you know what I mean? So again, I just had a reality producer reach out to me earlier today asking me questions about stuff. There's always stuff that goes wrong. And, my friends that did Below Deck, guess what? They went back for another season of Below Deck and another season. They posted on social media, so happy because they got a job. They knew that they were going to sleep in the hull of the ship, which sucks, and eat crappy food. Unfortunately, that's the way crew is treated. If you're not on a major movie set with major movie stars, anything that involves anything that is reality TV, it's nothing what it seems like on camera. The crew is not treated well normally. And if you are treated well, consider yourself lucky. The fact that these people even got any sort of compensation at all to be on the show is staggering to me. And probably because Amazon had money into it and other shows, because companies like Fox that produce Survivor and all these other shows, they don't do that. They just don't do that. They're like, you can win 20 grand, man, or 100 grand or whatever. You know what I mean? And if you look like an idiot or you hurt yourself, oh, well, you know what I mean? It's why they have insurance to cover all these things. That's why it's called errors and omissions insurance. That's why they have general liability policies for tens of millions of dollars. So if people get injured on set, they can cover it. Anyways, I digress on that. I think it's interesting. What is this documentary you're talking about, Gen X to the Seventh Power? I guess I'll go through the text. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I mean he gets the highest paying sponsorships. There's another ex-employee against Mr. Beast, Dogpack 404. Yeah, yeah, I don't know about his, again, I'm not talking about his friends or people that have worked with him. I'm just saying that this isn't yeah, it should be interested on how it unfolds. I mean, he's made enough money. It's that weird question of how far are people exploited and put in dangerous situations for money, and why we are entertained about it. And that's exactly my next point that I want to get to. So one of the things that I worked on very hard last year, and unfortunately it came to an end, was oh, thank you, Badger Witness. Yeah. was a show called The Survivor Squad, which I co-hosted with my girlfriend at the time, Tara Newell. And one of the impetus behind that show was the fact that that we wanted to give a space to true crime survivors to tell their stories in their own words and not just have someone else do it or exploit them or whatever. Now, everyone here, I believe, that's in the chat, that's watching my show, that comes to my channel, has some sort of interest in true crime, whether it's true crime all the time or whether it's true crime sometimes or true crime maybe. Sort of interested. If you watch shows like Dateline, Dateline, the number one true crime podcast, I believe it's even higher than Crime Junkie. I think they go back and forth. The number one true crime show, Keith Morrison. I can't remember all the people that are on the show. You know, there's like 6 of them or 5 of them, 5 hosts or whatever. You know, I don't watch it. The number one show. And they do stories. And everyone who is involved in that show, the writer who takes the story and writes the story down for the screen for them to talk about, the segment producers puts the segments together and how they're going to break down the story, the producers, the editors, the hosts, the camera operators, the craft service people, the catering people, the staff writers, I'm running out of fingers here, the sound guys, the sound editor, the archival editor, the archival footage procurator, the archival producer, the reenactment actors, that they all get paid. Do you know who doesn't get paid? The person who the story is about. So as we sit here and we go, these people are being exploited, the number one thing that people who are here who love true crime are watching is stories about people who are exploited. They don't get compensated for going on Dateline. They don't get compensated because Forensic Files does a show about them. They don't get compensated because a podcast talks about them. Now, everybody else that puts it together does. The actors that play the person might get compensated. The reenactment actors, the what have you. But all these people that we see on these true crime shows that are about their original stories, they don't get compensated. And if they do, it is a miracle. And I'll tell you something from personal experience. The production companies cry poor about it. Oh, we don't have any money. Oh, we don't. What do you mean you don't have any money? You're the largest media conglomerates in the world. You don't have enough money to cover my expenses. You don't have enough money for this. Like, you're out of your minds. And, you know, people do it for a reason. So when we start to look at things like this and we want to go, well, this is really wrong. We want to start putting our fingers. Well, what kind of stuff are we consuming? Do you guys choose to consume? And that was one of the purposes of Survivor Squad, was to bring up ethical true crime. And I'm not getting on the soapbox here. And I'm not saying that I also talk about people's stories. I didn't for a long time. I'm sharing it. You know what I mean? I earn money from YouTube. So I'm not trying to be hypocritical, but I'm saying if we're going to look at this and our consumption and we're going to point the finger at one direction, we got to point it in the other direction too and go, oh, some of the things that we really respond to, that we're really a part of, that we really gravitate towards these stories, those people don't get paid. I'm sure everyone here watches Dateline or has watched Dateline at some point. Those stories are not exploited. You know, when I talked to a Dateline producer about doing my story, this was last year, and I wanted them to do it. And they're like, well, we can't pay you. I said, I don't care. I said, I understand the value of having my story on Dateline. I get that. It's a big deal. And she was, you know, they were saying, look, we, Josh Mankiewicz was the other guy that I was thinking of with Keith Morrison. One that just came to me. But, you know, she was talking about, you know, because we're not compensating you, you know, do you have a show? Do you have a book? Do you have coaching courses? Do you have this? Do you have something that you'll get something out of this, instead of just because a lot of people would come on the show or allow their stories to be told or not allow their stories to be told that had no compensation. In fact, there's a lot of one of our episodes, which was one of our best episodes, was with a woman named Rita Isbell. And her brother, Earl Lindsay, was one of Jeffrey Dahmer's last victims. And her courtroom scene of her victim impact statement in Jeffrey Dahmer's trial and sentencing hearing was extremely powerful. And So powerful that Ryan Murphy, the creator of the Dahmer series, which I believe won a Golden Globe, and I think Evan Peters won a Golden Globe for playing Dahmer, or was at least nominated, or an Emmy or something like that, won awards. Very well done, by the way. An actor played Rita Isabel. And if you watch the two side-by-side videos, you see Rita's behavior in the courtroom and her behavior. I mean, because Rita's a little woman, and she's being held back by like 4 sheriffs. She wants to tear Dahmer's head off. And do you think that they contacted her and called her and said, hey, hey, we're doing this show. Can we offer you some compensation? We got an actress playing you, reenacting you. No, she found out about it because people started sending her death threats and racial slurs on social media, on Facebook. And then she found out that there was a Dahmer series. So I'm just saying, if we're going to sit here and go, well, Mr. Beast is a bad guy, the whole thing with media is all about exploitation. So we can sit here and go, well, all right, putting someone in front of the camera is and offering them $5 million is exploiting them. Well, what about the person who you're talking about their story and they've led a quiet and peaceful life, and all of a sudden everybody finds them on social media and starts bombarding them with hate mail and going after them? And now they got to go see a shrink. Now they got to go explain to their family. Now they got to go deal with the consequences, the repercussions of all this, because somebody took their story and was telling it and they didn't know about it. They didn't ask for their permission. They're just doing it. So I'm not here to chastise anyone or to say like, don't consume this content or don't do this, but the reason why you come here too is to see my unique perspective on all these things. And that's what I'm saying is we got to think about like what battles we pick and what side we stand on before we start shaking the finger and going, oh, well, this is bad. This content is bad, because we're all a party to it. We all consume media. I mean, think about just as people watch the news. They don't watch the news to hear great things about great people. No, they watch the news to see dumpster fires in people's lives. I mean, it's the Schadenfreude effect. It's just human nature. I don't know. It's sorry, I look like my internet was getting wacky. Anyways, that's my little pulpit here that I had to get into, because I just think, and this is something that I feel good about calling attention to, because it is something that is very personal to me. And I have worked on both sides of the camera. I have worked in reality television. I do YouTube. I do see these creators. I see how all this just spirals out of control. And if you're not comfortable with it, just don't watch it. You know what I mean? Say I don't participate. I mean, Mr. Beast has 312 million subscribers. He has that because he puts on a good show. They spend millions of dollars on their videos for like the 12, 13 minutes. That's what you spend on a low budget indie film with name actors. It's insane. So, it's a thing. And as you saw with the Rust trial and the Rust film set, you see that people can get injured even on a regular movie set. They can lose their life. So, it's a lot to think about. I'm not trying to chastise or exclude anyone for watching true crime or anything like that, but it is the same thing. And you should be aware that most of these stories, 99% of these stories that are out there that you're listening to, the people who are having those stories told are not being compensated. But everyone else in the daisy chain is. Everyone else to make the shows, everyone else. So if we're going to point the finger at exploitation, we got to start, and that's what it's about. And then, and a lot of those programs, by the way, are done under the guise of journalism. Oh, we're journalists. We don't pay for stories because we're journalists and we have journalistic integrity. Oh, bullshit. You're taking a check just like everyone else. You can cut me in on it. Cut the shit. You know what I mean? It's wild. It's wild. And anyways, that's my little soapbox. Anyways, I will in the industry to put all this energy into vetting practices of everything they consume. Oh no, I'm not suggesting that, badgered witness. Fair, but also like you can't expect. Yeah, I'm not saying that you need to vet anything. I'm merely saying that this process of exploitation happens all down the line. You know what I mean? It's why you saw last year the writer's strike and the actor's strike, because that's exploitation too. Because now they're using AI to. I just watched the documentary on Lou Pearlman as well, and they did a whole AI recreation of Lou Pearlman's voice, and I believe his likeness was AI as well. They say, and the thing it is, and these actors were striking because they can be recreated and therefore exploited. It's exhausting to vet everything. I get it. It's exhausting to vet everything that you consume, but it is good to be aware that it's not happening just over here with like one YouTube creator. It's also happening on Fox when they make Survivor or Naked and Afraid. Or these people sign and they sign their life away. If something happens, they're like, yeah, you're kind of on your own, buddy. It's, chalk it up to the game. But, again, as I talk about true crime a lot, you should know that it's not like these people are getting paydays. And, it's just something to think about. Anyways, that's my takeaway. Mover Nation, we get through another one. I'm so glad to see everyone. I'm going to go through your comments. I know some of those channels are huge. Your interview with her was pretty powerful. Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Cat. Loves cat skills. Anyways, I hope you guys weren't offended about me talking about this or you were upset about it. I just think it's interesting. There's a very interesting double standard that's placed. And, it all boils down to the creator. But again, I believe MrBeast did a video where, 1,000 blind people now can see, or 5,000, he gives eye surgery. Deaf people, he gave them hearing or repaired part of their hearing. There's a lot of philanthropy stuff that was done by his work as well. I know lately it's about like, $1 yacht, $300 million, $1 billion yacht, and things like that, and the Beast games and all that stuff. But, he's, I don't know. He's created a whole life for himself in a whole world, in a whole MrBeast universe. And it's, yeah. And everyone's got an opinion. Oprah Winfrey is doing an interview about AI, I think on September 12th. Interesting. Okay, good. I'm glad you guys are glad. Jeff Dunham posted someone is using his video with AI to try to scam people. Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, AI. And once again, you have a perspective that not many people have, both sides, in front and behind the camera. Well, thank you so much, Cat Loves Cat Skills. I appreciate that. You speak the truth, and once again, you have a perspective that not many have, both sides, in front and behind the camera. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that was fake or not, DefTube. I don't know if MrBeast's video about people having their hearing repaired was fake or not. That would be terrible if that was the case. And again, you don't want to when you deceive the public, right? Like one of my favorite movies, and maybe watch this for the AV Club. One of my favorite movies of all time is Quiz Show, directed by Robert Redford, starring John Turturro, and oh god, I follow him on Twitter, Instagram. Oh, why is his name escaping me? Rob. Oh god, Rob. We were gonna ride motorcycles together years ago during the pandemic. Rob Moreau. And I believe Mira Sorvino's in it, and it's Ralph Fiennes is in it. It is an amazing show about the quiz shows in the 1950s, directed by Robert Redford. It's amazing. I don't know why. I don't think it ever got nominated for. Oh, and Martin Scorsese has a cameo in it too. It's great. He plays the chief executive officer of Geritol Corporation. But it's about the deceiving of the public. What's his name? Hank Azaria's in it too. It's a fabulous star cast. If you've never seen the film, we'll have to watch it. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna watch a quiz show. It's done. It's a fantastic film. For Collier's AV Club on this Sunday, the 7th, right? The 8th, the Sunday the 8th, 5 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I'll put that in the comments here in a second. Yeah, we'll watch quiz show. But anyways, it is about the quiz show hearings, and this is a real event in American history. It was about the quiz show 21, I believe, was what it was in real life. but it was about that to a certain point in the show, the contestants started getting answers so they would win, right? And that was the public deceit, right? And so I think there's a big difference between exploiting people and deceiving people. You know what I mean? If you're saying, you know, this person is a genius and they're winning all this money, that's, you know, that's, and they really have false and fake intellect, then that's what it's about, and perpetrating this fraud, right? That's perpetrating a fraud on the public, and that's not cool. So, you know, if MrBeast is faking a lot of the content that he's got going on in his videos, and this I do not know. You know, I know people accuse people of all different types of stuff. I've done no research on this whatsoever. If this is a you know, a whole you know, if he's making up and deceiving people, that's a whole other thing. And I'm not speaking about that. I'm just speaking about this, you know, this sort of sour grapes, or, well, you're exploiting people. But quiz show is an interesting line, and I believe it's Hank Azaria's character that says it in the show. He says, you got it wrong. They didn't tune in to see this amazing intellect. They tuned in to watch the money. And they wanted to watch people win money. And I think that's why we watch these shows. We want to see the person win the money. $5 million, that's life-changing. $1 million, that's life-changing. Hell, 10,000 is life-changing right now. You know, things like that. I think that we, you know, that when you think about it, you know, that's why are we watching these things even in general? And you know, in a lot of true crime, you know, I feel like why a lot of you watch my content or you listen to me, or hopefully you do, is because you want to see someone get justice, right? We want to see, you know, injustice get rectified. You know, we want to see people get justice, like I got from my mother, right? And not everybody gets that, and that's really unfortunate. And not a lot of people have gotten that in their lives with their own personal struggles, right? So we want to see that, and I hope that's why you're here. I digress from this massive diatribe, but I think it's interesting to just, I'll leave you on this final thought, is that, you know, you can't vet everything you see or you watch, but you can think about it and you can think, okay, well, maybe it all, you know, maybe one person is bad and one person's, you know, good. And maybe it's all just, we just got to take it for what it is. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense or not. Anyways, Mover Nation, we get through another one. I thank you so much for joining. That would be more of a financial crime, which is not good in my opinion. Yeah. Anyways, watch Quiz Show. Join us on Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. That will be in the channel members area. It probably already is, I believe. The link is up, but I'll get to it. I got to make a graphic for it and all that stuff. Like I said, I've been sick, so I've been a little bit behind. But Mover Nation, thank you guys so much for joining me on yet another episode. And here's the outro, which is getting redone very soon, I promise. Love all of you. See you on the next one. Mover Nation, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to all my channel members and Patreon supporters. And for more exclusive content, behind the scenes videos, monthly VIP meet and greets, and watch parties, please consider supporting me on Patreon or by becoming a YouTube channel member. If you like this video, check out this one right here or this one right here. And don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps with the algorithm. On that note, I'm Collier Landry. I'll see you on the next one. Good girl, Marisol. Good girl.